The space station K-17 was loud, crowded, and full of fear. Sirens echoed through long metal halls. Ships were leaving fast. Refugees ran in every direction. No one knew who would survive the next hour. Among the soldiers helping with the evacuation was a human named Ethan Cole. He was tired. His armor was scratched, and his eyes showed too many bad memories. He had seen war, loss, and broken worlds. Still, he stayed calm and helped where he could. Ethan moved through a dark corridor when he heard a soft sound. Crying. He stopped. The sound came from behind a broken cargo crate. Ethan knelt and looked carefully. There, sitting on the cold floor, was a small alien girl. She was no taller than a human child of 5. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes large and glowing softly. Her clothes were torn, and she hugged her knees tightly. She was shaking. Ethan slowly removed his helmet and placed his weapon on the ground to show he was not a threat. "Hey, it's okay," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." The girl looked at him with fear. She did not understand his words, but she understood his tone. Still, she did not move. Other aliens passed the corridor. Some glanced at the girl, then looked away. She was not their concern. Everyone was trying to save themselves. Ethan frowned. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small nutrition bar. He opened it and gently placed it on the floor, then stepped back. The girl stared at it. Slowly, carefully, she reached out and took it. She sniffed it, then took a small bite. Her eyes widened. She ate the rest quickly. Ethan smiled. "There you go," he said. "See, not everyone out here is bad." The girl made a soft sound, almost like a question. Ethan sighed and sat on the floor, leaning against the wall. "My name is Ethan," he said, tapping his chest. "Human." The girl watched him closely. Then slowly, she copied him and touched her chest. "Lyra," she said in a small, clear voice. Ethan raised his eyebrows. "Lyra, that's a nice name." Explosions shook the station. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lyra flinched and pressed herself closer to the wall. Ethan stood up quickly. "Hey," he said. "It's okay. I won't let anything happen to you." He looked at his communicator. Evacuation was almost over. There was no record of Lyra's species in the human system. That meant no one was coming back for her. Ethan felt anger rise in his chest. He crouched in front of her again. "Listen," he said gently. "I don't know where your family is, but you don't deserve to be alone." Lyra looked at him with wide eyes. She did not fully understand, but she felt something important: safety. For the first time since Ethan had found her, she smiled. It was small, but real. Ethan laughed softly. "You know," he said, trying to lighten the moment, "if you keep smiling at me like that, I might have to marry you one day." Lyra tilted her head, confused. Ethan waved his hand quickly. "I'm joking. Just a joke." Another soldier passed by and laughed. "Careful, Ethan. Alien marriages can be dangerous." Ethan chuckled. "Guess I'll wait until she grows up." The soldiers laughed and moved on. But Lyra did not laugh. She watched Ethan carefully. She listened. Her species valued spoken words deeply. Promises were not jokes to them. Words, once said, became part of the soul. She reached out and gently touched Ethan's hand. Ethan looked down, surprised. "It's okay," he said softly. "You'll be safe now." A loud voice came through the corridor. "All remaining civilians to Dock 3. Final call." Ethan's heart sank. A sleek alien ship appeared at the end of the hall. Tall, armored aliens stepped out. Their eyes locked onto Lyra. She stood quickly and backed away from Ethan. Fear filled her face. One of the aliens spoke sharply. Lyra hesitated, then looked back at Ethan one last time. He nodded to her. "Go. You'll be okay." Lyra took a step toward her people, then stopped. She turned back. "Promise," she said in broken human speech. You marry me when grown. Ethan froze. Before he could answer, the aliens pulled Lyra away. The ship doors closed. Engines roared. The ship vanished into space. Ethan stood alone in the corridor, the noise of the station returning around him. He shook his head and whispered, "Just a joke." He did not see the way Lyra pressed her hand to her chest inside the ship. She remembered his face. She remembered his kindness. And she remembered the promise. To be continued. The alien ship moved quietly through deep space. Inside, the little girl named Lyra sat alone near a wide glass window. Stars passed by like slow lights in the dark. She pressed her small hand against the cold surface and watched them in silence. She did not cry anymore. Her people had taken her back, but not with warmth. They spoke in hard voices. They did not ask how she survived. They only cared that she was alive. Lyra's species believed in strength, honor, and duty. Weakness was not forgiven. Children were trained early to endure pain and fear. Kindness was rare, but Lyra had seen something different. She remembered the human. She remembered how he removed his helmet, how he put his weapon down, how he gave her food when no one else did. Most of all, she remembered his words. To her people, words were never empty. When the ship arrived at their home world, Lyra was taken to a large stone city built into a red mountain. Tall towers rose into the sky. Banners of war and victory hung everywhere. This was not a place for gentle children. Lyra was placed into the foundry hall, where young ones were trained to serve the empire. Many children cried at night. Some ran away. Some disappeared. Lyra did none of that. At night, when others slept, she stared up through the open roof and watched the stars. She searched for the one the human came from. Even though she did not know its name, she whispered softly to herself, in her own language. Promised. Years passed. Lyra grew taller. Her body became strong. Her eyes lost their softness and gained focus. She trained with blades, with energy tools, and with her mind. The instructors were harsh. Pain was common. Failure was punished. Many times Lyra was knocked to the ground. Each time, she stood back up. "Why do you keep rising?" one instructor asked after a hard trial. Lyra wiped blood from her lip. "Because I must." "Must for what?" the instructor demanded. She did not answer. She could not explain a human joke to warriors who knew only war. As she grew older, Lyra learned more about her people's laws. One law stood above all others. A spoken promise, once accepted, was sacred. Breaking it brought shame. Honoring it brought strength. That night, Lyra did not sleep. She realized something important. The human had made a promise, even if he did not mean it, and she had accepted it. From that day on, her training changed. She did not train just to survive. She trained to become worthy. If she returned to the human, she would not go as a child or a burden. She would go as an equal. As years passed, war came to the empire. Enemy fleets attacked border worlds. Lyra, still young, watched older warriors leave and not return. When she reached maturity, she stood before the Council of Blades. Her posture was straight. Her voice was calm. "I request to join the defense forces," she said. The elders looked at her with surprise. "You are young," one elder said. "And you are female." "I am capable," Lyra replied simply. They tested her. She fought 3 challengers. She defeated 2 and survived the 3rd. She did not win, but she did not fall. The elders whispered among themselves, "She endures." One said, "She does not break." Another agreed. Lyra was accepted. War hardened her further. She saw death. She gave it. She learned command, strategy, and sacrifice. Other warriors followed her because she did not waste lives. She protected the weak when she could. They began to respect her. Some feared her. Still, at night, she watched the stars. One day, after a major battle, Lyra stood on the bridge of a captured enemy ship. Screens around her showed damaged systems and drifting wreckage. A data officer stepped forward. "We recovered old human records from this sector," he said. "Civilians, soldiers, evacuation logs." Lyra's heart beat faster. "Show me," she said. The screen lit up with old footage. A blurry image appeared. A human soldier in scratched armor. No helmet. Kind eyes. Lyra stopped breathing. "That one," she said sharply. "Pause." The image froze. The name appeared below the image. Ethan Cole. Human. Lyra's hands trembled. Slightly. She had found him. The promise was no longer just memory. It was a destination. She turned to her crew. Her voice steady and strong. "Set a course," she ordered. "To human space." The stars outside shifted as the ship changed direction. Far away. A human who had long forgotten a joke continued his quiet life, unaware that a promise spoken in kindness was about to return with the force of an empire. To be continued. Lyra stood on the command deck of her ship, watching the stars stretch into long lines as the vessel moved faster than light. The hum of the engines felt calm to her. It felt right. Years of training, years of war. All of it had led to this moment. She was no longer the scared child from a broken space station. She was now Commander Lyra of the Varex Dominion, leader of a strike fleet feared across 3 systems. Her armor was dark silver, marked with symbols of honor. Her eyes were sharp, controlled, and cold when they needed to be. Around her, hardened warriors waited silently for her orders. They trusted her. That trust was earned in blood. "Status," Lyra said. "All ships holding formation," replied her first officer. "Human space border reached in 2 cycles," Lyra nodded. Her face showed no emotion, but inside, her thoughts were loud. Ethan Cole. The name echoed in her mind like a signal that never faded. She had repeated it through pain, through exhaustion, through battle. It had kept her focused when others broke. Some of her warriors believed she hated humans. Others believed she admired them. The truth was simpler. One human had been kind. That was enough. A younger officer stepped forward carefully. "Commander, permission to speak freely." "Granted," Lyra said. The officer hesitated. "Why do we approach human space without weapons active? They are weak compared to us. They may see this as an invasion." Lyra turned slowly. Her gaze locked onto him. "We are not invading," she said calmly. "We are visiting." The officer swallowed. "Visiting who?" "A man," Lyra replied. "Who once protected a child when no one else would." Silence filled the bridge. No one questioned her further. 2 cycles later, the fleet exited faster than light travel at the edge of human-controlled space. Human defense satellites activated immediately. Alarms rang across nearby stations. On Earth, far below, governments panicked. In a small city on the planet's surface, Ethan Cole was repairing an old transport truck behind his home. His hair was gray now. His hands were rough. His life was quiet. The war had ended long ago for him. His communicator beeped. He ignored it. It beeped again, annoyed. Ethan wiped grease from his hands and checked the screen. The message froze his blood. "All former military personnel, report immediately. This is not a drill." Ethan stared up at the sky. He felt it before he saw it. The stars above Earth changed. Massive shapes appeared in orbit. Alien ships, larger than anything humans had built. Dark, powerful, silent. Fear spread across the planet like fire. Ethan whispered, "Not again." Hours later, Ethan stood inside a military command room he never expected to see again. Officers shouted. Screens flashed warnings and alien signals. Then, one signal broke through all others. A single request. "I wish to speak with Ethan Cole." The room went silent. An officer turned slowly toward him. "That's you?" Ethan's mouth was dry. Yes. The officer looked confused. Why would an alien fleet commander ask for you? Ethan shook his head. I don't know. But deep inside, something stirred. A memory. A dark corridor. A small blue girl. A joke spoken to ease fear. No, that was nothing, he told himself. Before anyone could stop it, the screens changed. A single image filled every display. An alien woman stood tall, wearing armor marked with command symbols. Her eyes were bright and unblinking. Ethan felt his heart stop. He knew those eyes, even after all these years. Lyra looked directly into the camera. Ethan Cole, she said in clear human speech. I have come to collect what was promised. The room exploded into noise. What does she mean? Promised what? Is this a threat? Ethan could barely hear them. His mind raced. Then it hit him. The joke. His face went pale. I think, he said slowly, I know her. Lyra continued, her voice calm but unyielding. Years ago, a human saved a lost child. He offered protection. He offered a future. In my culture, such words bind the soul. She paused. I am that child. Shock spread through the room. Ethan stepped forward, his voice shaking. Lyra? For the first time, Lyra's expression softened. Yes, she said. You remember. She straightened. I have crossed the stars to return what you gave me. Silence. Then. She spoke the words that would change everything. Honor, loyalty, and myself. Outside, the alien fleet waited. Inside, humanity held its breath. And Ethan Cole realized that one small act of kindness had echoed across the galaxy. To be continued. Ethan Cole sat alone in a small white room inside the military complex. The walls were smooth and cold. A single light hummed above his head. Outside the door, guards stood silent. He felt older than ever. Only hours ago he had been fixing a truck, thinking about nothing more than dinner. Now an alien fleet filled Earth's orbit, and its commander knew his name because of a joke. A young officer entered the room, holding a data pad. Mr. Cole, he said carefully, command wants answers. Ethan nodded slowly. So do I. They escorted him through long halls into a large meeting room. Generals, scientists, and diplomats filled the space. Every eye turned toward him. Senior General spoke first. You said you recognized the alien commander, Ethan swallowed. Yes, how? Ethan closed his eyes for a moment. He could still hear the sirens of Station K-17, still see the small girl hiding behind the crate. I met her once, he said quietly. She was a child, alone. I helped her. A scientist leaned forward. Helped how? Food, safety. A few kind words, Ethan replied. Nothing special. The general's voice hardened. And the promise she mentioned? Ethan's face tightened. It was a joke. I didn't mean it. Murmurs filled the room. Outside, the alien fleet remained still. No attacks, no threats. Just waiting. Another officer rushed in. Sir, the alien commander requests a direct meeting with Ethan Cole alone. The room erupted. That's too dangerous. She could be lying. It could be a trap. I then listened, then raised his hand slowly. I'll go, he said. The room fell silent. You don't understand, the general said. She commands enough firepower to end cities. Ethan looked at the screen showing Lyra's face. Calm. Patient. I think, Ethan said softly, she won't hurt anyone unless she's forced to. The decision was made quickly. A neutral orbital platform was prepared. No weapons. No armies. Just one human. And one alien commander. Hours later, Ethan stood alone on the platform, wearing simple civilian clothes. The stars stretched endlessly around him. His hands shook slightly. A sleek alien shuttle approached and docked silently. The doors opened. Lyra stepped out. She looked even taller in person, stronger. Her presence filled the room without effort. But her eyes, those eyes were the same. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan cleared his throat. You grew up." Lyra tilted her head slightly. "You grew old." He gave a weak smile. "Fair." Silence returned. "Did not come to threaten your world," Lyra said. "I came for you," Ethan sighed. "Lyra, what I said back then, it was meant to comfort a scared child. Humans joke when we don't know what else to do." "I know," Lyra replied. "I learned that." She stepped closer. "But in my culture, intent matters less than action. You protected me, you fed me, you spoke of a future." Ethan looked away. "I forgot." "I did not," she said simply. "That hurt more than any accusation. I'm not a hero," Ethan said. "I'm not a leader. I'm just a man who tried to do one good thing." Lyra studied him carefully. "That is why you matter." She gestured toward the stars. "My people are strong, feared, but they respect power, not kindness. You showed kindness when no one else did." Ethan laughed softly, without humor. "And now your fleet is outside Earth because of it." "Yes," Lyra said. "Because kindness must be answered with honor." Ethan's chest felt tight. "What do you want from me?" Lyra took a deep breath. For the first time, her voice carried uncertainty. "I want you to stand beside me," she said. "Not as a ruler, not as a weapon, but as proof that humans are more than what the galaxy believes." "And if I refuse?" Ethan asked. Lyra met his gaze. "Then I will leave. But my people will see that humans break sacred words." Ethan closed his eyes. The weight of billions rested on one forgotten joke. He opened his eyes again. "I won't lie to you," he said. "I'm afraid." "So was I," Lyra replied. "In that corridor." Ethan exhaled slowly. "I won't promise marriage," he said carefully. "But I won't run from responsibility either." Lyra considered this. "Then we begin with truth," she said, "and choice." Far below them, Earth watched the stars in silence. And for the first time since her arrival, Lyra smiled not as a commander, but as the child who had never forgotten. That to be continued. The orbital platform was silent again after Ethan spoke. "I won't promise marriage," he had said, "but I won't run." Lyra stood very still. Her commanders would have answered instantly. Warriors always did. But this was not a battlefield. This was something harder. "Choice," Lyra said slowly. "You speak of choice now." "Yes," Ethan replied. "Because a promise forced is not honor, it's fear." Lyra looked away toward the stars. Her fleet waited in perfect formation. Thousands of warriors, endless power. One word from her could change history. She remembered another moment of fear. Dark corridor, sirens, a human kneeling so he would not look taller than a child. "You taught me something without knowing," Lyra said. "You showed me that strength can kneel." Ethan said nothing. He let her speak. "My people do not understand jokes," Lyra continued. "We understand duty. When I was young, that made your words feel clear and true." She turned back to him. "Now I understand you did not intend a bond." Ethan nodded. "I'm sorry." Lyra studied his face carefully, as if searching for lies. She found none. "Then hear my truth," she said. "I did not come only to claim you. I came to test you." Ethan frowned. "Test me how?" "If you were weak," Lyra said, "you would hide behind your leaders. If you were cruel, you would deny me and dare my fleet to act. But you did neither." She stepped closer. "You accepted responsibility without power." Ethan swallowed. "I don't feel brave." "Bravery rarely does," Lyra replied. A signal chimed softly in the room. Lyra touched a control on her wrist. A small image appeared in the air. Her High Council. Their faces were hard, unforgiving. "Commander," one elder said. Why do we wait? Lyra answered calmly. Because this matter is not settled by force. The elder's eyes narrowed. The human has broken a sacred vow. He has not, Lyra replied. He speaks honestly. That carries weight. Murmurs spread among the council. Another elder leaned forward. Our law is clear, so's our future, Lyra said. If we demand obedience, we gain a symbol. If we choose understanding, we gain an ally. The council went silent. Ethan watched, feeling small. He was not trained for this. He was not meant to stand between empires. Finally, the lead elder spoke again. What do you propose? Lyra took a breath. I propose a trial of intent, she said. The human will stand with me publicly, not as a mate, but as a chosen partner of goodwill. If he betrays us, the bond ends. If he proves honorable, the galaxy learns something new. Ethan's heart raced. You're asking me to become a symbol. Yes, Lyra said softly, as I once was. The council studied Ethan's image, an old soldier. No weapons. No rank. He does not look powerful, one elder said. Lyra's voice sharpened. Neither did I when I was left to cry. The council fell silent again. After a long moment, the lead elder nodded. The trial is accepted. The image vanished. Ethan let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. You didn't have to defend me like that. Yes, Lyra said. I did. She faced him fully now. The trial will begin on neutral ground. Humans and my people watching together. You may still refuse. Ethan looked at the stars. At Earth below. At the lives he had never wanted to lead. Then he thought of Lyra as a child. Of how small kindness had changed her entire path. If I say yes, he asked, what happens? Lyra answered honestly. You will be judged, watched, hated by some, trusted by none at first. And if I fail, I will protect your world, she said. But I will lose something I believed in. Ethan nodded slowly. I never wanted to matter like this, he said. But I guess none of us choose when we matter. He looked up at her. I'll do it. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. You accept? Yes, Ethan said. Not because of a joke. Because you deserve an answer. For the first time since she arrived, Lyra bowed her head to a human. Then the trial begins, she said. Outside, the alien fleet shifted formation, not into attack, but into escort. Across Earth, alarms changed to confusion, and across the galaxy, a rumor began to spread. A human had stood unarmed before an empire and chosen responsibility over fear. To be continued. The neutral world of Astravel had never seen so many ships. Human vessels floated on one side of the planet's orbit. On the other side, the massive alien fleet of the Virex Dominion waited in perfect silence. Between them was the planet chosen because it belonged to no one. On the surface, a wide stone platform had been built. Flags of many species hung in the airless sky, held in place by energy fields. Cameras, drones, and observers from dozens of worlds watched closely. This was not a battle. It was a judgment. Ethan Cole stood at the center of the platform. He wore simple dark clothes. No armor, no weapons. His hands were empty. Across from him stood Lyra. Her armor was ceremonial now, marked with glowing symbols of law and honor. To her people, this moment was sacred. A tall Virex elder stepped forward, his voice echoing across the platform. The trial of intent begins, he announced. The human known as Ethan Cole stands accused of breaking a sacred promise. A murmur moved through the crowd. Ethan took a slow breath. I'm not here to deny my words, he said clearly. I'm here to explain them. The elder raised a clawed hand. Speak. Ethan looked at Lyra first, then at the watching galaxy. I spoke to a frightened child, he said. I used humor to give comfort. I did not know her laws. But I knew fear, and I chose kindness. Some laughed quietly. Others watched in silence. The elder's eyes narrowed. Kindness is not a contract. No, Ethan agreed. But it is a responsibility. Lyra stepped forward. He could have hidden behind his leaders, she said. He did not. He could have denied me. He did not. A human diplomat tried to speak, but Ethan raised his hand gently. Let me finish, Ethan said. He turned back to the elder. If my words caused harm, then I accept that fault, he said. But if they gave hope, then I will not apologize for that. Silence followed. Then the elder spoke again. The trial is not words alone, it is action. At his signal, a large screen appeared above the platform. Images began to play. They showed moments from Ethan's past. Him shielding civilians during a bombardment. Him staying behind while others escaped. Him kneeling to speak to a crying alien child. Ethan stared at the images in shock. You recorded all this? We observe those who change fate, the elder said. A second test began. A siren wailed. A simulated attack warning rang across the platform. An enemy fleet approaches, the elder announced. Human, what do you do? Ethan's heart raced. This was not in any briefing. He looked at Lyra. She did not move. This choice was his alone. I stand where I am, Ethan said. If you want to test humanity, then test it without weapons. Gasps spread through the observers. The elder studied him. You would risk death? Yes, Ethan replied simply. Because fear should not decide the future. The simulation intensified. Energy blasts appeared in the sky. The ground shook. Ethan did not move. Lyra's hands clenched, but she stayed still. The illusion stopped suddenly. Silence returned. The elder turned to the crowd. This human chose sacrifice without command, he said. This is not weakness. He faced Lyra. Commander, do you still stand by him? Lyra stepped beside Ethan. I do, she said. He honors words by living them. The council of observers whispered among themselves. Species that once feared humans now watched with new interest. Finally, the elder raised both hands. The trial is complete. Ethan's legs nearly gave out. The promise was born from kindness, the elder continued. And kindness has been proven. The bond shall not be one of ownership, but of alliance. Lyra let out a breath she had held for years. Ethan looked at her, eyes wide. Does this mean? It means, Lyra said softly, that you are free to choose me. And I am free to choose you. For the first time, they stood not as commander and subject, not as accuser and accused, but as equals. Far above, ships adjusted formation. Human and alien fleets aligned side by side. Across the galaxy, a truth. Spread faster than fear, humanity had not been judged by power. It had been judged by heart. To be continued. The sky above Astravel changed. Human ships and Varek ships now floated side by side, their lights forming new patterns. Observers across the galaxy watched in disbelief. For the first time in known history, two powerful species stood together without fear or force. Ethan Cole felt the weight lift from his chest, but the moment was not over. The elder of the Varek's dominion raised his staff once more. The trial has ended, he declared. But the future has not yet been decided. A low warning tone echoed across the platform. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She turned toward her tactical display. Unidentified fleet, she said sharply. Entering the system at high speed, Ethan looked up. Dark ships tore through space, their hulls marked with the symbols of an old enemy, one that hated both humans and the Vareks. They were waiting, a human officer said over the channel. Waiting for weakness, the elder did not hesitate. This is no longer a test. The enemy fleet opened fire. Energy beams lit the sky. The neutral platform shook as defensive fields activated. Panic spread among the observers. Ethan stood still. He was unarmed. He was not a soldier anymore. But he understood something now. This is my choice, he said quietly. Lyra turned to him. Ethan, step back, He shook his head. No, this started with me standing in front of fear. I won't stop now. Before anyone could argue, Ethan moved forward onto the very edge of the platform. Cameras followed him. Billions watched. This is Ethan Cole of Earth, he said into the open channel. We are not your enemies, but we will not kneel to those who only understand violence. The enemy commander laughed. You stand before fleets with empty hands. Ethan raised his hands, palms open. Yes, and you're afraid of that. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Lyra stepped beside him, her armor activated, glowing with power. Behind her, Varek's ships moved into attack formation. Human ships followed, not behind her, beside her. Target locked, a human admiral reported. Awaiting joint command. Lyra looked at Ethan. Together? Ethan nodded. Together. Fire, Lyra ordered. Human and Varek's weapons struck as one. The enemy fleet, unprepared for unity, broke apart. Explosions filled the void. Within minutes, the threat was gone. Silence returned. Slowly, applause spread across the platform from aliens, humans, and species that had never clapped before. The elder stepped forward, his voice carrying pride. Let it be recorded, he said, that humanity did not win through strength alone. They won through resolve. Lyra turned to Ethan. Her voice was softer now. When I was a child, I believed a promise meant possession, she said. Now I understand it means partnership. Ethan smiled. I still don't know much about alien marriage. Lyra's lips curved upward slightly. Then we will learn together. She extended her hand, not as a claim, as an invitation. Ethan took it. Across the galaxy, messages spread. Treaties followed. Borders softened. The story of a human joke and an alien child became legend. Not because it was romantic, but because it was human. Years later, historians would write, a single act of kindness changed the course of history. A joke became a bridge. And humanity proved that its greatest strength was not its weapons, but its heart.